Greetings, everybody. Nino the Mystic here, and welcome to another episode of the Anunnaki story. I do believe we are on episode 5 now. So if you are new and you haven't seen any of them, I do have a playlist going up on YouTube, so you can catch up there if you would like to. And I also have a free PDF in the description down below if you would like to read ahead or catch up there as well. But Robert, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Doing great. A lot of stuff. We're getting closer to that time of year, everyone. The jingle bells are ringing. That crazy guy down at the corner with the bell standing in the store asking for your money, going ding, 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 and making you feel really guilty. He's out there too. So with that, remember, take your money and go spend it somewhere good. Like get your T-shirt with my face on and the Anthahkarana symbol, or the mug, or something that says "Happy Holidays."
Spend your money wisely. Everybody's asking for money, right? And you know, and so are we, I guess, in some way. But yeah, everybody's got their hands out, and I know when I go up to the mall here, you know, you get all the Boy Scouts or whatever. Somebody's hassling you for, you know, buying cookies or donating for the sports team or whatever it is. You know, you're gonna. But yeah, that's the way it is. And I remember when my kids were young and had to do that. And
yeah, I got hit up for the 4-H today.
4-H, yeah. There's always somebody there at the store, right, that wants some kind of money, and you know. But nowadays, though, nobody has cash, so I don't know how well they're doing. Because you know, before it was like, okay, well, whatever change you had from shopping, you would just throw it in their can or whatever. But nowadays, everything is plastic, so I don't know how these things are doing, but unless they have a little, you know, a little app that they can use, I have no idea. But yeah, so but yeah, no, we do have our own holiday merch if you guys are interested in getting a little extra festive this year and support the channel. It's kind of a collaboration, I guess, between the two channels here. You can kind of see it up in the corner there. It's a logo there. And it's also on the t-shirt behind me here as well, so the only available obviously until the end of the year here, and then that will be gone. So it'll be a one-of-a-kind kind of collector's item. If you would like to support the channel that way, it is available. Let's see, I can drop a link in here for you. There it is. And if you're watching on the replay, no worries. All the links are down in the description down below there. And I also wanted to shout out, Robert and I did a live over on his other channel on Thursday night, I think it was. And which is really good. I actually did a bit of a decoding of the Economist front cover. And we went through all of that. And so, yeah, I urge you guys to go and check that out. Let's see if I can find that link here. I think I got it right here. So if you guys want to go and check that out after this, you know, at some point, go and check that out and make sure that you subscribe to that channel, because that's where we go quite often. You know,
channel is called Stupid Talk and Stupid Talk Daily. So find it up on YouTube, go subscribe, listen to our thing. We love doing the news. We love to vent. That's a great place to do it. And maybe we'll do another one coming up soon. So who knows, right?
Yeah, so whenever we do, and there's a few episodes on there already that we've done, and there's hardly any views. So if you guys want to go and check that out, go and subscribe. Of course, I do have 3 of Robert's channels. I'm not sure how many channels you have, but I have 3 of your channels down below. So go and subscribe to all of them if you don't mind, and go and check out the content there. Do you ever go live on the Robert V channel at all, or do any shows up on there?
Not usually. Usually that's more of stuff I've videoed around the house, or stuff I'm doing, or events I've gone to. You know, just stuff like that. Yeah, it's like kind of sometimes I tell some stories and stuff on there. I try to, you know, break the things up kind of like you do. You know, if you got something really controversial, you put it on the Rumble channel, you know, and if you got something that's mystical and magical, you put it on this channel, you know, vice versa kind of deal, you know.
Yeah, so to be honest with you, I've been trying to really break the content up. So because I know with the algorithms and with the audience, obviously, they're going to be gravitating to one or the other. Not both. However, just the way the universe has worked things out for me, we're all going to be collabing everything on this channel. So, and hence the name Mystic Truther. So you're going to get Wednesdays are coming back. I guess cat's out of the bag now for the rest of you. Wednesday show is coming back January 8th. So good news for those who are missing it. Yeah, we're going to be returning with the Hawk Day on Wednesdays over on this channel. And I'm going to be looking into getting a new Facebook as well to try and go live over there to try to, break out of this shadow banning that I got going on over here and hopefully be able to catch new people with that. So yeah, the Patreon is gone, so there's no sense signing up for that. And hence you won't find the link down below for that anymore. And yeah, that's just the way it went there. But Patreons already know what's going on. You guys have been informed, so no worries. But yeah, so I'm doing both. So hopefully you guys are going to be okay with that. Wednesdays will be the mystical stuff. Sundays is more other stuff. So, sometimes it is truth relating stuff, and sometimes it's just ancient history like we're doing now. Or sometimes we'll have special guests on, which we will be having next Sunday. We got Augie Nost coming back, returning. For those who have been with me for a while will know exactly who he is. We did a whole series on his book over on my other channel before he got taken down. Unfortunately, those episodes are no longer available. Well, actually, you know what? You probably will find those up on the Odysee. The Odysee still has all the stuff that we did over there. So, yeah, same with the old Rumble as well. We'll have them over there probably as well. So there is places where you can find them. So go and check that out. But up on like Gilded, I have a room especially for that. The episodes aren't there because they were, the channel got taken down. So, but yeah, anyways, he's coming on talking about time travel next week. So that's going to be interesting. So that it's kind of like a variety show, as I call it, a variety. Because sometimes it's ancient history, sometimes we're decoding something, or sometimes it's a special guest, or sometimes an occult roundtable. So there's a little bit of everything kind of up on the Sunday show. Yeah. So hopefully you guys are on board. And if one or the other triggers you, then don't watch that show, but don't unsubscribe just because of one little thing, you know what I mean? Because next week you might miss something really good, So yeah, stay tuned. And yeah, what else did I want to touch on before we get going? Do you have anything that you want to talk about before we get going?
No, not particularly. Just excited to get on with this. A lot of good information in the Anunnaki story. Just a big point shout out, like I usually do, is saying, remember this book that we're doing is over 30 years old. Actually, it's probably more than that. But, the times have changed. The information has morphed, as you progress through history, you find out more stuff, things that were right or wrong or right, and so when you hear some of this stuff, don't say, oh my gosh, I just heard something the other day and that's all false. This was written 30 years ago. So that was the mindset. That was the information that they had at the time. The idea is to spark your interest. And if you feel that something that we talk about is important to you, go and research it. That is the best. Research yourself. Go listen to other stuff and find out the real truth. Here we start you out on the path, and if you really want some more and you don't want to do it, well, let us know, and maybe we'll look it up and do a show on whatever you're interested in, because hey, we're interested in it already too, right?
Yeah, well, that's why we're doing the shows, is because this is what's interesting us, and so instead of just sitting by ourselves reading it, figure we might as well do it in front of all of you, and you guys get to enjoy it as well. And so yeah, we're always looking for feedback. So if you're watching it on the replay, use the comment section down below, any feedback on what we're doing. And yeah, if there's any updates, or if you got some other suggestions on either Anunnaki stuff or maybe some other topics that you would like us to touch on, use the comment section down below, guys, or email us. All the information is in the description down below here. And welcome, Chris. I see somebody new in here. Have you ever read The Lost Book of Enki? Is that the next one in the series or one of the books?
I
There's
don't know. I
12
never heard of it.
Lost Book. I think that's one of Sitchin's books. So I
Really?
think because we're going through the number one book, the first book that he wrote, and there's 12 of them. So I do believe The Lost Book of Enki is one of them, if I'm not mistaken. So now I don't know if we're going to be getting into that here because I haven't even looked further to see if there's any more free PDFs out there for us to use, but or if you guys got some PDFs that you want to share, that will be greatly appreciated as well. Just email them to us, and yeah, that's how we do it. We're not monetized. We're not getting any kind of money anywhere else. So, getting free stuff is always good. So that it's not at least costing us any money to do the shows. You know what I mean? So, but we do appreciate tips. I do have my tip button is pinned in the chat. So if you are, enjoying the content and you want to show some love, you can always use that there. It's interactive with the stream. It's kind of like a super chat, if you will, and you'll get an Insta shout out. So there you go. So there's that. Yeah, I think that's all we got for the beginning here. We might as well dive into the material here. We left off right in the middle of the episode. Let's see. I just realized I got to hit the make this bigger for you. Yeah. 200. Right in the middle because it was such a long thing. And so 46 I'd said. So I'm guessing right here, right in the middle of this. Or maybe I'll just start right here. It's still 46. Yeah, right here. There's no illustrations on here, but everything else looks good. It's easy read. And like I said, I do have the free PDF down below if you want to check it out for yourself. So we're just going to continue on here. And like I said, I do have a playlist going up on YouTube. So if you need to catch up, you can do that over there. Okay. So yeah, here we go. Other gods were actually present, not merely on earth, but among the Hittites, acting as supreme rulers of the land, appointing the human kings and instructing the latter in matters of war, treaties, and other international affairs. Heading the physical present Hittite gods was a deity named Teshub. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but there it is. Yeah.
We're all guessing at these things. Besides that, it bothers me, but it's not the Hittites; it's the Hittites. The Hittites. Okay. Yes, Hittites.
Yeah, potato, I guess, and it's all on how you say it. Yeah, yeah, I'll try to highlight the ones that I think or the ones that I know that I'm misspelling, and then for the rest of it, you guys can always read it for yourself if you want to. So Teshub, which meant windblower. He was thus the scholar of the storm god, associated with winds, thunder, and lightning. He was also nicknamed Taru, which I guess means bull, and that's kind of where Taurus comes from. Like you can kind of see the similarity there. Like the Greeks, the Hittites depicted bull worship, like Jupiter after him. Teshub was depicted as the god of thunder and lightning, mounted upon a bull. Hittites' text later Greek legends relate how their chief deity had to battle a monster to consolidate his supremacy. A text named by the scholar the myth of the slaying of the dragon identifies Teshub's adversary as the god Yanka. Failing to defeat him in battle, Teshub appealed to the other gods for help, but only one goddess came to his assistance and disposed of Yanka by getting him drunk at a party. Recognizing in such tales the origins of the legends of St. George and the dragon, scholars refer to the adversary smitten by the good god as the dragon, but the fact is that Yanka meant serpent. Did we not read this? This sounds kind of familiar, but that's okay. We can read it again if that's the case. Battle not a dragon, but a serpent god. As we shall show later on, there was a deep meaning attached to these ancient traditions of a struggle between a god of wind and a serpent deity. Here, however, we can only stress that battles among the gods for the divine kingship were reported in the ancient texts as events that had, I can't even say this word here, taken place.
Unquestionably.
Unquestionably
Unquestionable. Yes.
taken place. A long and well-preserved Hittite epic tale entitled Kingship in Heaven deals with the very subject, the heavenly origin of the gods. The recounter of those premortal events first called upon 12 mighty olden gods to listen to his tale and be witness to its accuracy. Let there listen the gods who are in heaven, and those who are upon the dark-hued earth. Let there listen the mighty olden gods, thus establishing that the gods of old were both of heaven and upon earth. The epic lists the 12 mighty olden ones, the forebearers of the gods, and assuring their attention. The recounted proceeded to tell them how the gods was king in heaven came to the dark-hued earth. Now, I found this interesting. Olden ones and forebearers to the gods, meaning
Yeah,
that
remember.
they were here before the gods.
Well, remember last week I talked to you about this. We discussed it a little bit. How if we have Zeus and we have all these gods, and then they were talking about Zeus was born by, I forget what his father's name was. That means there's a whole other set of gods before Zeus. Zeus is the one that is alive today, taking over, but there was gods that gave birth to those gods. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
But we don't even know their stories because they're so old.
And it's interesting that it's 12.
Yeah.
Mighty olden ones.
Always 12. Well, there was always there was 12 olden ones, but remember the circle of in Olympus only took 12 gods, and they didn't make room for anybody else unless one was kicked out or killed off.
Right. Yeah. That's what we were reading last time. That's right. So very interesting. It's the whole 12 seems to be repeating like through all of it, like from before. Yeah, it's kind of interesting with that one there. And to be honest, when I remember when I first started meditating and I saw my guides, they were like, I call them like the ancient ones. You got like the cloak on, and that's what I call them, the ancient ones. They don't know exactly who they are, but I wouldn't be surprised that it is 12 as well. So very interesting. And anyway, so it's kind of interesting. But all right, formerly in the olden days, Alalu was king in heaven. He, Alalu, was seated on the throne. Mighty Anu, the first among the gods, stood before him, bowed at his feet, set the drinking cup in his hand. For 9 counted periods, Alalu was king in heaven. In the 9th period, Anu gave battle against Alalu. Alalu was defeated. He fled before Anu. He descended to the dark-hued earth. Down to the dark-hued earth he went. On the throne sat Anu. The epic thus attributed the arrival of a king in heaven upon earth to an usurpation of the throne. A god named Alalu was forcefully deposed from his throne somewhere in the heavens, and fleeing for his life, descended to the dark-hued earth. But that was not the end. The text proceeded to recount how Anu, in turn, was also deposed by a god named Kumarbi, Anu's own brother, by some interpretations. There's no doubt that this epic, written 1,000 years before the Greek legends were composed, was the forerunner of the tale of the deposing of Uranus by Cronus and of Cronus by Zeus. Even the detail pertaining to the castration of Cronus by Zeus is found in the Hittite text, for that was exactly what Kumarbi did to Anu. For 9 counted period, Anu was king in heaven. In the 9th period, Anu had to do battle with Kumarbi. Anu slipped out of Kumarbi's hold and fled. Flee did Anu, rising up to the sky. After him, Kumbarbi rushed, seized him by his feet. He pulled him down from the skies. He bit his loins, and then the manhood of Anu, with the insides of Kumbarbi combined, fused and bronzed. So he bit him by the
Winger dinger.
by the junk. Oh, that's a
Yeah, the chunk.
oh wow. According to this ancient tale, the battle did not result in a total victory. Though emasculated, Anu managed to fly back to his heavenly abode, leaving Kumbardi in control of Earth. Meanwhile, Anu's manhood produced several deities within Kumbardi's insides. What?
That's a new one.
Okay, that's a weird one. Which he, like Cronus in the Greek legends, was forced to release. One of these was Teshub, the chief Hittite deity. However, there was to be one more epic battle before Teshub could rule in peace. Now, produced several deities within Kumbardi's inside, as in, so he swallowed them then? And then how that's not how babies are made.
Yeah.
It's so I don't know. Yeah. So this is
maybe with the gods it's different.
maybe. So this is where it just kind of, and this is where it makes you wonder if there's been some mistranslation here or something.
Oh, yeah.
You know
sure.
what I mean? Because that's not physically, possible. Especially if it was a male. Yeah. And how would, you gonna poop them out? Like, how does, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense. That's not how our reproduction works, But anyway, so let's look past that then and see what else comes along here. There was one more. Okay, learning of the appearance of the heir to Anu in Kumiya, heavenly abode, Kumbardi devised a plan to raise a rival to the god of storms. Into his hand he took his staff. Upon his feet he put the shoes that are swift as winds, and he went from his city Urkish to the abode of the Lady of the Great Mountain, reaching her. His desire was aroused. He slept with Lady Mountain. His manhood flowed into her. 5 times he took her. 10 times he took her. Wow, he was busy, this guy. Was Kumbardi simply lustful? We have reason to believe that much more was involved. Our guess would be that the succession rule of the gods were such that a son of Kumbardi by the Lady of the Great Mountain would have claimed to be a rightful heir to the heavenly throne, and that Kumbardi took the goddess 5 and 10 times in order to make sure that she conceived, as indeed she did. She bore a son whom Kumbardi symbolically named Ali Kumi, suppressor of Kumea, Teshub abode. The battle for succession was foreseen by Kumbarbi as one that would entail fighting in the heavens. Having destined his son to suppress the incumbent at Kumea, Kumbardi further proclaimed for his son, let him ascend for heaven his kingship, let him vanquish Kumea, the beautiful city, let him attack the gods of storms and tear him into pieces like a mortal, let him shoot down all the gods from the sky. Did the particular battle fought by Teshub upon earth and in the skies take place when the age of Taurus commenced around 4000 BC? Was it for that reason that the winner was granted association with the bull? And were the events in any way connected with the beginning at the very same time of the sudden civilization of Sumer? So that's interesting. Where does bull worship come from? It's kind of weird. So that's, I guess they have a question here as well. Did that have anything to do with it? There can be no doubt that the Hittite pantheon and tales of the gods indeed had their roots in the Sumer, its civilization and its gods. The tale of the challenge to divine throne by Uli Kumi continues to relate heroic battles out of an invasive nature. At one point, the failure of Teshub to defeat his adversary even caused his spouse, Hebat, to attempt suicide. Finally, an appeal was made to the gods to mediate the dispute. An assembly of the gods was called. It was led by an olden god named Enlil. Well, I've heard of this guy. And
Yep.
another olden god. So Enlil is an olden god. So we were under the impression that Enlil was one of the first that came here from the Anunnaki, were they not?
Yep.
Enki and Enlil, weren't they?
Enki and
You know what I
Enlil,
mean?
yeah.
So he's been considered an olden god. So that kind of explains a little bit there. And another olden god named Ea. Isn't that Enki? Or was that
Yeah.
a different one? Or Ea was
Yeah.
Enki, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. See, it gets a little confusing sometimes. Who was called upon to produce the old tablets with the sword of destiny? Some ancient records that could apparently help settle the dispute regarding the divine succession. When these records failed to settle the dispute, Enlil advised another battle with the challenger, but with the help of some very ancient weapons. Listen, ye olden gods, ye who know the olden words, Enlil said to his followers, open ye the ancient storehouses of the fathers and the forefathers. Bring forth the olden copper lance with which heaven has separated from earth, and let them sever the feet of Uli Kumini. Almost sounds like Kumeni. Who were these olden gods? The answer is obvious. For all of them, Anu, Antu, Enlil, Ninlil, Ea, Ishkur, bear Sumerian names. Even the name of Teshub, as well as the names of other Hittite gods, were often written in Sumerian script to denote their identities. Also, some of the places named in the action were those of ancient Sumerian sites. It dawns on the scholars that the Hittites, in fact, worshipped a pantheon of Sumerian origins, and that the arena of the tales of the olden gods was Sumer. This, however, was only part of a much wider discovery. Not only was the Hittite language found to be based on several Indo-European dialects, but it was also found to be subject to substantial Akkadian influence, both in speech and more so in writing. Since Akkadian was the international language of the ancient world in the second millennium BC, its influence on Hittite could somehow be rationalized. But there was cause for true astonishments when scholars discovered in the course of deciphering Hittite that it extensively employed Sumerian pictographic signs, syllables, and even whole words. Moreover, it became obvious that Sumerian was their language of high learning. The Sumerian language, in the words of O.R. Gurney, Hittites, was intensively studied at Hattusash, the capital city, and Sumerian Hittite vocabularies were found there. Many of the syllables associated with the cuneiform sign of the Hittite period are really Sumerian words of which the meaning had been forgotten by the Hittites. In the Hittite text, the scribes often replaced common Hittite words with the corresponding Sumerian or Babylonian words. Now, when the Hittite reached Babylon sometime after 1600 BC, the Sumerians were already long gone from the Near Eastern scene. How was it then that their language, literature, and religion dominated another great kingdom in another millennium and in another part of Asia? The bridge scholars have recently discovered were a people called the Hurrians, refer to the Old Testament as the Horites, the free people. They dominated the wide area between Sumer and Akkad in Mesopotamia and the Hittite kingdom in Anatolia. In the north, their lands were the ancient cedar lands from which countries near and far obtained their best woods. In the east, the center embraces the present-day oil fields in Iraq, and in one city alone, Nusi, archaeologists found not only the unusual structure and artifacts, but also thousands of legal and social documents of great value. In the West, the Hurrians' rule and influence extended to the Mediterranean coast and encompassed such great ancient centers of trade, industry, and learning as Karshemish and Alabak, but the seats of their power, the main centers of the ancient trade routes, and the sites of the most venerated shrines were within the heartland. That was between the two rivers, the biblical Nahariam. The most ancient capital, as yet undiscovered, was located somewhere on the Kabur River. The greatest trading center on the Balik River was the biblical Haran, the city where the family of the patriarch Abraham sojourned on their way to the in southern Mesopotamia to the land of Canaan. Egyptian and Mesopotamian royal documents refer to the Hurrian kingdom as Mitanni, and dealt with it on an equal footing as strong power whose influence spread beyond its immediate borders. The Hittites called their Hurrian neighbors Hurri. Some scholars pointed out, however, that the word could also be read Har, and like this person here. Oh my goodness. Oh, he's not doing it. Anyways, all of that there have raised the possibility that in the name of Hari, one sees the name Ari or Aryans for these people. That's interesting because that was the race of people that they were so fixated about in the 40s, if you get my drift.
Yep.
So, so are they saying that this Aryan race then are actually from the Middle East? Or
yeah,
saying,
in a way, yeah.
So that's interesting. That's interesting.
The northern area of the Middle East, I guess.
Yeah, that is interesting, considering he was so against certain people from the Middle East. This is kind of funny, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and he was so fixated with Norway and Scandinavia and whatever. But so I don't know. Yeah, I guess we're not going to go into that here. There's no doubt that the Hurrians were Aryan or Indo-European in origin. Indo-European.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't sound Scandinavian to me.
No.
So this is where it kind of contradicts a little bit. So it makes you wonder, like, what's going on here. Their inscriptions involve several deities by their Vedic Aryan names. Their kings bore Indo-European names, and their military and cavalry terminology derived from the Indo-European. B. Rosny, who in the 1920s led an effort to unravel the Hittite and Hurrian records, even went so far to call the Hurrians the oldest Hindus, as in Hindu religion.
Yep.
So like even older than what's there now.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because I think the Hindu religion is one of the oldest. It's 5,000 or 6,000 years old, whereas most of the other religions are fairly new compared to that.
Yes. Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that is interesting. These Hurrian dominated the Hittite culturally and religiously. The Hittite mythological texts were found to be of Hurrian provenance, and even epic tales of prehistoric, semi-divine heroes were of Hurrian origin. There is no longer any doubt that the Hittite acquired their cosmology, their myths, their gods, and their pantheon on 12 from the Hurrian. So that's interesting. The triple connection between Aryan origins, Hittite worship, and the Hurrian source of these beliefs is remarkably well documented in the Hittite prayer by a woman for the life of her sick husband. Addressing a prayer to the goddess Hebat, Teshub's spouse, the woman intoned, "O goddess of the rising disk of Arna, Arina. I don't know how you would say that. My lady mistress of the Hatti lands, queen of heaven and earth. In the Hatti country, the name is goddess of the rising disk of Arina. But in the land, thou mattest in the cedar lands, thou bearest the name Hebat. That sounds Jewish. Hebat. Isn't that a thing, Jewish thing?
Yeah.
Hebat.
Yeah.
Something rather, yeah. With all that, the culture and religion adopted and transmitted by the Hurrians were not Indo-European. Even their language was not really Indo-European. There were undoubtedly Akkadian elements in the Hurrian language, culture, and traditions. The name of the capital, oh boy, Washugeni, was a variant of the Semitic Resheni, where the waters begin. The Tigris River were called Aramzgah, which we believed stemmed from the Akkadian word for river of the pure cedars. The gods Shamash and Teshameturn became the Hurrian Simiki. I don't know. Simikini and that one there, and so on. But since the Akkadian culture and religions were only a development of the original Sumerian traditions and beliefs, the Hurrian in fact absorbed and transmitted the religion of Sumer. This was so that also evident from the frequent use of the original Sumerian divine names, epithets, and writing signs. The epic tale, it has become clear, were the tales of Sumer. The dwelling places of the olden ones were Sumerian cities. The olden language was the language of Sumer. Even the Hurrian art duplicated Sumerian art, its form, its theme, and its symbols. When and how were the Hurrian mutated by the Sumerian gene? Evidence suggests that the Hurrians, who were the northern neighbors of Sumer and Akkad in the second millennium BC, had actually commingled with the Sumerian in the previous millennium. It is an established fact that the Hurrians were present and active in Sumer in the third millennium BC, that they held important positions in the Sumer during its last period of glory, that of the third dynasty of Ur. There is evidence showing that the Hurrian managed and manned the garment industry for which Sumer, and especially Ur, was known in antiquity. The renowned merchants of Ur were probably Hurrians for the most part. In the 13th century BC, under the pressure of vast migration and invasion, including the Israelites thrust from Egypt to Canaan, the Hurrians retreated to the northeastern portion of the kingdom, establishing their new capital near Lake Van. They called their kingdom Urartu. There they worshipped a pantheon headed by Teshub, depicting him as a vigorous god wearing a horn cap and standing upon his cult symbol, the bull. They called their main shrine Bitanu, course of Anu, and dedicated themselves to making their kingdom the fortress of the value of Anu. And Anu, as we shall see, was the Sumerian father of the gods. Right, that's what I thought. Anu was, the big guy, the big chief.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. If he was the father, well, then who was his father? And if there was 12 of them, who were those 12? See, that's the bigger question.
Well, yeah, all we know is whoever came here. So I think Anu may have been, and whoever was left over in Nibiru. I mean, who knows, right? And all we know, all we can date back to is Anu, I think. Yeah, so that would be sort of the beginning for us, because we don't know the rest. But what about the other avenue by which the tales and worship of the gods reached Greece from the eastern shores of the Mediterranean via Crete and Cyprus? The lands that are today Israel, Lebanon, and southern Syria, which formed to the southwestern band of the ancient Fertile Crescent, were then the habitat of peoples that can be grouped together as the Canaanites. Once again, all that was known of them until rather recently appeared in references, mostly adverse, in the Old Testament and scattered Phoenician inscriptions. Archaeologists were only beginning to understand the Canaanites when two discoveries came to light. Certain Egyptian texts at the Luxor and this one here,
Saqqara.
Saqqara.
Yeah, Saqqara.
You got two Q's in there. Saqqara, okay. And much more important, historical, literary, and religious texts unearthed at a major Canaanite center, the place now called Rosh Shamara on the Syrian coast, was the ancient city of Ugrit. The language of the Ugrit inscriptions, the Canaanite language, was what scholars call West Semitic, a branch of the group of languages that also included the earliest Akkadian and present-day Hebrew. Indeed, anyone who knows Hebrew well can follow the Canaanite inscriptions with relative ease. The language, literary style, and terminology are reminiscent of the Old Testament, and the script is the same as that of the Israelite Hebrew. The pantheon that unfolds from the Canaanite text bears many similarities to the later Greek one. At the head of the Canaanite pantheon, too, there was a supreme deity called El, a word that was both the personal name of the god and the generic term meaning lofty deity. He was the final authority in all affairs, human or divine. Adam, father of man, was his title. The kindly, the merciful was his epithet. He was the creator of things created and the one who alone could bestow kingship. The Canaanite text, amidst the most scholars, depicted El as a sage, elderly deity who stayed away from daily affairs. His abode was remote at the headquarters of the two rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. There he would sit on his throne, receive emissaries, and contemplate the problems and disputes the other gods brought before him. A stela found in Palestine depicts an elderly deity sitting on a throne and being served a beverage by a younger deity. The seated deity wear a conical headdress adorned with a horn. So this is where the horn thing comes from. They wore these headdresses with horns on them. And so this is where the Bible, I don't know even if it's in the Bible, but somehow we've made it out that the devil has got horns and whatnot. You know what I mean? So this is where they were getting it from. With horns, a mark of the gods, as we have seen from prehistoric times. And the scene is dominated by the symbol of a winged star, the ubiquitous emblem that we shall increasingly encounter. It is generally accepted by the scholars that the sculpture relief depicts El, the senior Canaanite deity. It's too bad we don't have the actual illustrations here, but I guess you can always look those up yourself if you want to. El, however, was not always an olden lord. One of his epithets was Thor, meaning bull. See, here this is where you're getting some of the Norse now. You know, and horns. So Vikings themselves did not wear horns. I can tell you that right now. So this horn thing comes probably from here, really. They never had horns on their helmets, and the Vikings did. So that's something that came from here. But signifying, scholars believe his sexual prowess and his role as the father of the gods. A Canaanite poem called Birth of the Gracious Gods placed El at the seashore, probably naked, where two women were completely charmed by the size of his, you know what, while a bird was roasting on the beach. Okay. El had intercourse with the two women, thus where the two gods Shahar and Shalem were conceived. These were not his only children, nor his principal son, of which he had apparently 7. His principal son was Baal. There you go.
Heard that name before.
Yeah, well, this was the god that we worshipped, and that the bull comes from, that we're still using today, by the way. If you go and look at, what's in front of the Wall Street there, giant golden bull, right?
Yeah.
So bullion, we're still doing that. It hasn't gone away, by the way. So this is where it's coming from. You know what I mean? Again, the personal name of the deity, as well as a general term for Lord. So Baal also means Lord. That's right. As the Greeks did in their tales, the Canaanites spoke of the challenges by the son of the authority and rule of his father. Like El, his father, Baal was. So El is the father of Baal. Okay, just to summarize a little bit. Baal was what the scholars call a storm god and a god of thunder and lightning. And this is where Thor comes from, right? Yeah. So in Norway, so Thor would be Baal. So that is that. I haven't actually heard that connection before, but that is very interesting. A nickname for Baal was Hadad, the sharp one. His weapons were the battle axe. Geez, where have I seen that before? And the lightning spear. His cult animal, like El's, was the bull, and like El, was depicted wearing the conical headdress adorned with a pair of horns. So this is where the horns come from, not the Vikings. It's somehow they must have maybe they had it as maybe they wore them during ritual, during their ceremony. I can see them doing that. But having horns on your helmet is not practical in battle.
No.
Right? So, but I can see them, maybe the shamans, they dance around with it. Maybe they had an actual bull skull that they can actually, you know what I mean? So that because quite often they would dance around with the bear thing or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's part of sort of their ceremonies and stuff.
Yeah.
I can see that. Baal was also called Alien. Huh. That name looks familiar to me. Elon. So you take away that
ironic, isn't it?
Why? Right? Who do you got? Baal, Elon, really? Well, a lot of people do question whether or not he is, human. I mean, he's part human, but you know what I mean? How human is he?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I wouldn't be surprised. A lot of these deities do come back, incarnate. Into these wealthy families. I mean, if you're going to come back, that's where you would want to come back to, obviously.
You wouldn't come back to some lowlife and working.
No, you're not going to come back as a slave. No, washing floors. No, you're going to come back because nobody really knows where did Elon get all his money from. Because he never really invented anything. He just kind of showed up and took over. Like, you know what I mean? Yep. There's something about Elon, and I've always had that feeling. But now that I see this, I'm even more convinced that, he's got some connection to the old ways. And that's mean supreme. Again, I don't know. I can't get that out of my head. That is the acknowledged prince, the heir apparent. But he had not come by this title without a struggle. First with his brother Yam, Prince of the Sea, and then with his brother Mot, a long and touching poem pieced together from numerous fragmented tablets, beginning with the summoning of the master craftsman to El's abode at the source of the waters in the midst of the headwater of the 2 rivers. Through the fields of El he comes. He enters the pavilion of the Father of Years. At El's feet he bows, falls down, prostrates himself, paying homage. The master craftsman is ordered to erect a palace for Yam as the mark of his rise to power. Emboldened by this, Yam sends his messenger to the assembly of the gods to ask for the surrender to him of Baal, ask for the surrender to him of Baal. Yam instructs his emissaries to be defiant, and the assembled gods do yield. Even El accept this new lineup among his sons. Baal is this Baal is thy slave, O Yam, he declares. The supremacy of Yam, however, was short-lived. Armed with two divine weapons, Baal struggles with Yam and defeats him, only to be challenged by Mot. The name meant smither, in the struggle. Baal was soon vanquished, but his sister Anat refused to accept the demise of Baal as final. She seized Mot, the son of El, and with a blade she cleaved him. Do you wanna take over actually?
Sure.
Do you want to talk about some of this before we?
Yeah. Well, Baal is a very, is Marduk, also Marduk, Baal, Marduk, same thing. And of course she seized Mot and she cleaved him. What do you think she cleaved him of?
With the blade, she cleaved, like, I don't know, cut off his thing, or I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. She whacked off his tallywhacker.
She cut him. I'm assuming she killed him, or it doesn't say.
I don't think you could just kill a god, so I think she cleaved off his tallywhacker, or his tallywhacker. That's what it sounds like.
It doesn't say. It does kind of hang there.
Yeah, because something about it sounds like jealousy here, jealousy and struggle for power. So anyway, that's what it sounds like a soap opera to me.
Yeah, well, we know where we get it from, right?
Yeah. Okay. The obliteration of Mot led, according to the Canaanite tale, to the miraculous resurrection of Baal. Scholars have attempted to rationalize the report by suggesting that the whole tale was only an allegorical representing no more than a tale of the annual struggle in the Near East between the hot, rainless summers and the dry out of the vegetation, and the coming of the rainy season in the autumn, which revives or resurrects the vegetation. But there is no doubt that the Canaanite tale intended no allegory, that it related what were then believed to be the true events, how the sons of the chief deity fought amongst themselves, and how one of them defied and defeated to reappear and become the accepted heir, making El rejoice. And again, resurrection and timing of the season sounds like some religious book we know of, right?
Yeah.
Okay. With that, El, the kindly one, the merciful, joyous, his feet on the footstool he sets. He opens his throat and laughs. He raises his voice and cries out, I shall sit and take my ease. The soul shall repose in my breast. For Baal the mighty is alive. For the prince of earth exists. Anat, according to the Canaanite tradition, thus stood by her brother, the Lord Baal, in his life and death struggle with the evil Mot. And the parallel between this and the Greek tradition of the goddess Athena standing with the supreme god Zeus in his life and death struggle with the Typhon is only too obvious. Athena, as we have seen, was called the perfect maiden, yet had many illic love affairs likewise. Canaanite tradition, which preceded the Greek ones, employed the epithet the maiden Anat, and in spite of this proceeded to report her various love affairs, especially with her own brother Baal. One text describes the arrival of Anat and Baal's abode on Mount Zaphon, and Baal hurried dismissal of his wives. Then he sank by his sister's feet. They looked into each other's eyes, and they anointed each other's horns. He seizes and holds her womb. she seizes and holds his stones. The maiden Anat is made to conceive and bear. It's amazing how they use words in colorful metaphors to describe certain things, is it not?
And then other places not.
Yeah.
They just say it out, you know what I mean? And then it's, yeah.
Exactly. Your imagination has to run wild, put it that way. And sometimes,
Yeah, there's a lot of incest in the old gods.
absolutely. Okay,
So,
no wonder then Anat was often depicted completely naked to emphasize her sexual attributes, as in this seal impression, which illustrates a helmeted ball bathing another god. Of course, we don't have that illustration, but you just have to imagine what it would be like, and it would probably be X-rated for this video.
yeah, exactly. Maybe it's a good thing there's no pictures here.
Like the Greek religion and its direct forerunners, the Canaanite pantheon included a mother goddess, official consort of the chief deity. They called her Asherah. She paralleled the Greek Ahira, Astar, and the biblical Astarte. Yeah.
Astarte. There you go. There's where Astarte comes from, because a lot of people, any of my occultist friends, will know exactly who that is.
Oh, Astarte.
So she's
okay.
all the way back from the olden gods, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Also Freya, and the northern tale is Freya. Freya and Astarte are the same being. So, who is the goddess of love and war? So, yeah.
Well, Astarte paralleled Aphrodite. Her frequent consort was Athar, who was associated with a bright planet and who's probably paralleled Ares, Aphrodite's brother. There were other young deities, male and female, whose astral or Greek parallels can easily be surmised. But besides these young deities, there were olden gods, aloof from mundane affairs, but available when the gods themselves ran into serious trouble. Some of their sculptures, even in the partly damaged state, show them with commanding features, gods recognizable by their headgear. Hence had the Canaanites, for their part, drawn their culture and religion. The Old Testament considered them a part of the Hamitic family of nations, with roots in the hot, what Ham meant, lands of Africa, brothers of the Egyptians. The artifacts and written records unearthed by archaeologists confirm the close affinity between the two, as well as many similarities between the Canaanite and the Egyptian deities. The many national and local gods, the multitude of their names and epithets, the diversity of their roles, emblems, and animal mascots at first cast the gods of Egypt as an unfathomable crowd of actors upon the strange stage. But a closer look reveals that they were essentially no different from those of the other lands of the ancient world. The Egyptians believed in gods of heaven and earth, great gods that were clearly distinguished from the multitudes of lesser deities. In G.A. Wainwright, the Sky Religion of Egypt book, summed up the evidence showing that the Egyptian belief in the gods of heaven who descended to earth from the skies was extremely ancient. Some of the epithets in these great gods, greatest god, bull of heaven, Lord, Lady of the mountains, sound familiar. Although the Egyptians counted by the decimal system, their religious affairs were governed by the Sumerian sextesimal 60, and the celestial matters were subject to the divine number 12. The heavens were divided into 3 parts, each comprising 12 celestial bodies. The afterward was divided into 12 parts. Day and night were each divided into 12 hours, and all these divisions were paralleled by companies of gods, which in turn consisted of 12 gods each. The head of the Egyptian pantheon was Ra. He was a creator who presided over an assembly of the gods that numbered 12. He performed his wondrous works of creation in primeval times, bringing forth Geb, which is earth, and Nut is the sky. Then he caused the plants to grow on earth and the creeping creatures, and finally, man. Ra was an unseen celestial god who manifested himself only periodically. His manifestation was the Athene, the celestial disk, depicted as a winged globe. The appearance and activities of Ra on earth were, according to the Egyptian tradition, directly connected with kingship in Egypt. According to the tradition, the first rulers of Egypt were not men, but gods, and the first god to rule over Egypt was Ra. He then divided the kingdom, giving Lower Egypt to his son Osiris, and Upper Egypt to his son Seth. But Seth schemed to overthrow Osiris and eventually had Osiris drowned. Isis.
Okay, so I just want to, just for 1 second here. So, for those, who followed all my shows and remember the show a few months back where we talked about Aquino channeling Satan, and Satan's telling him that he prefers the name Seth.
Yeah.
So, so Satan, devil, whatever, is a character that goes back all the way back to, the beginning, I'm assuming. So it goes,
which is kind of interesting, because who were Adam and Eve's sons? You remember that?
It was a Seth there. It was Cain and Abel and Seth, right? There was the third one as well. Yes.
They had the third son come along after Abel was killed, and they had Seth.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Seth schemed and he overthrew Osiris. So having that sort of devil or adversarial kind of qualities to him.
Yeah, and Seth was favored with God too. So that just
isn't that like in the Bible where Lucifer apparently was the most beautiful? He was the right-hand man of God, or right-hand angel, I guess, of God. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it makes you
very similar.
It makes you wonder if we got everything backwards, because Cain was cast out because he was no good, and Seth was favored, but now Seth is taken on by a name of the devil. So which kind of makes you start thinking about, well, what kind of crazy, wacky world do we live in? If Seth is a favored son.
Mm-hmm. Well, that has come to my attention a long time ago, that I think everything has been inverted. Everything. Yeah. Everything they've told us, you basically just turn it upside down, and that's probably closer to the truth.
Pretty much.
So, and by going through these old documents here, essentially, right? This is, Sitchin's interpretation of some old tablets. And I do believe coming up soon, there's going to be more they're going to find some more ancient texts, which I do believe is going to be part of the alien disclosure, I guess, of the whole alien thing. I think that's how they're going to do it. They're not going to do it by having some ship come or some siege, because we're not going to believe it. Anything we see now, we're not going to believe it. But if somebody digs up some, tablets again, and then that will probably be even more likely that we're going to believe that. So I do believe that that's probably what's going to happen here. But anyways, let's not. We'll read a little bit more, I guess, before we go into our discussion. And so if you guys got any questions, put them in the chat. Okay.
Yeah, let's try to finish up this chapter today.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Osiris. Let's see. Osiris drowned, and Isis, the sister and wife of Osiris, retrieved the mutilated body of Osiris and resurrected him. Thereafter, he went through the secret gates and joined Ra in his celestial path. His place on the throne of Egypt was taken over by his son Horus. who was sometimes depicted as a winged and horned deity.
Again, where's the horns? Where the horns come from? And it's not anything evil either, by the way. That's something that Christianity is twisted into their story.
Absolutely.
Devils with horns and all of this. So they're getting the horn thing from this, but they're making, it's just twisted version of the, So.
Okay. Though Ra was the loftiest in the heavens, upon earth, he was the son of that god, Thoth, developer of one who fashioned things. So even Ra was the son of somebody, see?
Of course.
The Egyptians believed that Thoth actually raised the land of Egypt from under floodwaters by building a dike works at the point where the Nile rises. This great god, they said, had come to Egypt from elsewhere. Again, from somewhere else. He established not only Egypt, but also the mountain land and his far foreign land. Indeed, the Egyptians acknowledged all their olden gods had come by boat from the south, and many prehistoric rock drawings have been found that show these olden gods distinguished by their horn headdress arriving in Egypt by boat.
Now you gotta wonder. Interesting.
You gotta wonder about that headdress with the horns.
So the horns arriving by boat, does that not sound like the Vikings?
Does it not also sound like, remember it said horned headdress, and I'm thinking, well, if you had a horned headdress, would you not maybe be an alien and that was your helmet, your headdress? You with horns was maybe some tubes, and they came by boat from the south. Well, what is down in the south? Antarctica. Antarctica froze, and these people had to come up from the south. Well, it kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
Well, I guess, the Anunnaki, for lack of words, we don't know exactly what they're called, right? It just means from heaven they came. They came down at one point. Well, I guess, they would have, but didn't they have ships though? Couldn't they have, gone, traveled around the world and found Egypt by a different way? Why a boat? It's so primitive.
Well, but then again, wait, stop for a second. We got to rely on translations. And when they say a ship, could have been a sky ship. They came from the heavens, but then they came from the south in ships. So if you start really,
it could be a starship, but it's coming along the horizon of the water, kind of thing.
That's right. It's
coming along, right? Mm-hmm. And they don't know any different, right? They don't,
Well, they may have known different, but if they didn't have a word for it, a ship is a ship, and if you don't have a word for spaceship, you would just say it can't. You would have to. I don't know their language, but I mean, if you don't have words for it, they would have to just put it down as regular text. Or if they did, the translator of that text just said ship. Could have been
here, but so that's again, is how many times has it been translated?
Yes.
That's the problem. So that's probably more likely if it is, the olden gods, which it says it is, because they're the Anunnaki, and they obviously have a lot better technology than just boats.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, or how much further do we have here with this?
Let's try to just get through this chapter as best we can. We should be able to get through this one. Okay, the only sea route leading to Egypt from the south is the Red Sea, and it is significant that the Egyptian name for the Red Sea is Sea of Ur. Hieroglyphically, the sign for Ur meant the far foreign land in the east. It is actually may also have referred to the Sumerian Ur lying in the very direction, and that cannot be ruled out. Again, translation. The Egyptian word for divine being or God was NTR, which meant one who watches significantly. That is exactly the meaning of the name Shumer, the land of the ones who watch. And again, translation. The earlier notion that the civilization may have begun in Egypt has been discarded by now. There's ample evidence now showing that the Egyptian organized society and civilization, which began a half a millennium and more after the Sumerian one, drew its culture and architecture, technology, and art of writing, and many other aspects of high civilization from Sumer. The weight of evidence also shows that the gods of Egypt originated in Sumer. Cultural and blood kingsmen of the Egyptians and the Canaanites shared the same gods and with them, but situated in the land strip that was the bridge between Asia and Africa was the memorable. The Canaanites also came under strong Semitic and Mesopotamian influences, like the Hittites to the north, the Hurrians to the northeast, and the Egyptians to the south. The Canaanites could not boast of an original pantheon. They, too, acquired their cosmology, deities, and legendary tales from elsewhere. Their direct contacts with the Sumerian sources were the Amorites. The land of the Amorites lay between Mesopotamia and the Mediterranean lands of Western Asia. Their name derives from the Akkadian Amaru and Sumerian Martu, the Westerners. They were not treated as aliens, but as related people who dwelt in the western provinces of Sumer and Akkad. Persons bearing Amorite names were listed as temple functions in Sumer. Well, when Ur fell to the Elmite invaders around 2000 BC, the Martu named Ishabanarur.
Ishbiara. I don't know.
Yes, exactly. Reestablished the Sumerian kingship at Larash and made his first task the recapture of the and the restoration there of the great shrine of the god Sin. The Amorite chieftains established the first independent dynasty of the Assyrian around 1900 BC, and the Hammurabi, who brought greatness to Babylon in around 1800 BC, was the sixth successor of the first dynasty of Babylon, which was Amorite. In the 1930s, archaeologists came upon the center of the capital of the Amorites, known as Mari, at the bend in the Euphrates, where the Syrian border now cuts the river, and diggers uncovered a major city whose buildings were erected and continuously re-erected between 3000 and 2000 BC on foundations that date to centuries earlier. The earliest remains included a step pyramid and temples to the Sumerian deities Anana, Nishkra, and Enlil. The place of Mari alone occupied some 5 acres and included a throne room painted with most striking murals, 300 various rooms, scribal chambers, and, most important to the historian, well over 20,000 tablets in the cuneiform script dealing with the economy, trades, politics, and social life of those times, and with the state and military matters, and of course with the religion of the land and its people. One of the wall paintings at the great place of Mari depicts the investiture of the king Zimri Alim by the goddess Anana, whom the Amorites called Ishtar. As in the other pantheons, the chief deity physically present among the Amaru was the weather or storm god. They called him Adad, the equivalent of the Canaanite Baal, the Lord, and the nickname him Hadad. His symbol, as might be expected, was the forked lightning. In Canaanite texts, Baal is often called the son of Dagon. Son of Dagon. The Marti text also speaks of an older deity named Dagon, with an A, a lord of abundance who, like El, is depicted as a retired deity who's complained on the occasion that he was no longer consulted on the conduct of certain war. Other members of the pantheon included moon god, whom the Canaanites called Yara, and the Akkadians Sin, and the Sumerians Nanar. The sun god, commonly called Shamash, and other deities whose identities leave no doubt that the Mari was a bridge of geographically and chronologically connected the lands and the people of the Eastern Mediterranean with the Mesopotamian sources. Among the finds at Mari, as elsewhere in the lands of Sumer, were dozens of statues of the people themselves, kings and nobles, priests and singers. They were invariably depicted with their hands clasped in prayer, their gazes frozen forever towards their gods. Who were the gods of heaven and earth, divine yet human, always headed by a pantheon, an inner circle of 12 deities. We have entered the temples of the Greeks and the Aryans, the Hittites and the Hurrians and the Canaanites, the Egyptians and the Amorites. We have followed the paths and took us across continents and seas and in clues that carried us over several millennia. And all the corridors of all the temples have led us to one source, Sumer.
There you go. Perfect.
There we
Chapter
go.
4.
Chapter 4. Woo!
Oh, there we go. We made it through that one. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of interesting stuff in there. You really see, once you start, once you know a lot of the occult information, you recognize a lot of the names, the deities, and I've come to that conclusion a long time ago that I think there's only so many of them, but they go by so many names, each one of them go by so many different names, throughout the histories, I guess, and we just kind of rebranded themselves, over time. Like Satan says he prefers Seth. He probably maybe preferred the time of the Egyptian time, rather than today's time. And I can't say I blame him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then they just, the thing is they just morphed every single time and just took on new names. It kind of makes you wonder, throughout the ages, who they became. Did they, finally, instead of having Egyptian names, did they morph into other names, like you said, the Nordic names, or even closer to our history, did they develop into, names that we know, that we just take them for granted, like, the King of England, or the President of the United States at the time, whoever he may be. You see what I'm saying? And we don't know any better. It's just that these deities, they couldn't come out and say, well, my name is Baal. Okay, you worship me. No, well, I can't have people worshiping me. That's just a sign of the times. So now they're going to obey me because I am the president. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know if they would come back as as a human in our society. However, I actually believe that some of them might still be alive, like as is. And that's what they're hiding in Antarctica, and when you look back at, when we were giving offerings all the time to the gods, we were giving not just your crappy old livestock, you would give your best livestock, your best crops. 10% seems to be a good round number for, if everybody did, right? And they would give it to them, right? And that way they didn't have to do any of the toiling of anything, because we would just give it to them as offerings. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we're still doing it. I think we're still giving them stuff over into Antarctica. And you want to go and start looking into, where are all these people going? Like, we have hundreds of thousands of people missing all the time. I mean, yeah, some of it is going into trafficking and whatnot, but I bet you a good portion of these people are food for the beings over in Antarctica.
Well, if that's the thing, you can't have 600,000 people a year disappear, and not find them.
Right. Where are they going?
Where they go. And see, like I said once before, we are like the chickens in the chicken coop. We only keep track of our small circle of people. And when one disappears, we go, well, he moved away, he died, You know, he this, that, or the
Whatever.
other thing, and
Yeah.
we're sad for a little bit, but then after that, it goes away, and then we just go
Yeah.
about our lives and go, well, you know, Joe Blow, he left, and I don't know where he went, but he was a good guy. I remember him. You know, well, then what? You know, people go missing, and then
Mm-hmm.
and what? People search for him, and they, well, he must have run away. He didn't want to be there, and you know, he went to have a new life. Well, this day and age,
Mm-hmm.
people, everything is fingerprints, photos everywhere. You're on camera everywhere you go. You almost can't disappear. They could find you with facial recognition in, you know, 10
Yeah,
minutes.
well, so this is, and we've talked about this before in some of the shows, or maybe even after, when we're not on live. But if you take a map of America and where all the people have disappeared, and then you take another map of the underground system in America, and you lay them on top of each other, it's identical. Okay, so all of these people are disappearing, or most of them, I should say all, but most of them, a lot of them are
Mm-hmm.
above the underground system. So ergo, which means they're taking them underground and then shipping them across wherever they're going from underground. That's why we don't see them ever again. We never see them again. There's no DNA, there's nothing. It's just gone, vanished. There's tons of shows that talk about this, about the people are vanishing, and so and nowadays, with people aren't even socializing really anymore. Nobody's going to the bar. I think we only got one bar
Mm-hmm.
left in my town. We used to have tons of bars. People used to go out all the time. Social now, nobody does. Everybody sits at home now on the internet. They'll sit at
Yeah.
home and drink alone.
Well, you
So
know that.
nobody really notices whether Bob's gone or Mike's gone. You don't know if they're there or not.
Well,
Nobody's
thing is
anymore.
too is ever since the 2020 thing, you know, where everybody
Yeah,
made to be
made
put
it
on a
worse.
mask and stay home. Yeah, it made it worse because people, you got comfortable staying at home, comfortable sitting on the internet, comfortable socializing away from other people,
Yeah.
and so, and even when they do go out now, they don't go out to socialize like they used to. I think.
No.
I mean, you know, there's some that do, but not not like they used to. I think there's a change. A
Yeah,
change
I
has.
know. I've been watching some other shows too, and I don't have all the numbers in front of me, but apparently the young people aren't dating. They're not dating like they used to.
Mm-hmm.
So this is obviously going to affect our population, and it has. We're talking about, if some other shows talking about robots and sex robots, and they're taking over, and people are marrying these things now, and they rather have that than to make the effort of going out, and so yeah, there's so many things we could talk about with this, but
Well,
yeah,
and
no,
that is true. The robot thing, you know, like in Japan, you know, where they have such a strict work ethic, and the young men and the young women, they don't have time to go look for a partner. Whereas, and we're going to go back in history a little bit. Back in the day, the woman was promised to a young man, you know, from different families. You know how that works. You know,
they
the
arrange
woman,
marriage.
you know,
Yeah.
they were arranged marriage. That's the word I'm looking for. They were arranged marriages. That way, you didn't have to work at it. It was like, here you go. There, you know, that's the one you ended up with. But today, that's looked down upon, and people don't want to do that so much. And I get it. I get it. But
Mhm.
the thing is, now you have to go out and put yourself out there, and we don't have the time or the effort. And then, you know, because people are picky, I don't like that one. He's got a bad habit, or I don't like this one because, you know, she don't look like I like. You know, well, tough luck. So now
Yeah,
you got
I mean,
zero.
there's some of that, obviously, right? Because women has become independent now.
Yes.
So we don't have to get married if we don't want to. We're only going to do it if we really want to. It's not a life necessity now like it used to be. I mean, if you weren't
Yeah.
married by 25, you have a very the future's not looking the good. You know what I mean? So it was survival. Like, we had to. So there's that, right? Now,
Mhm.
with today, though, with the economy and everything, the young people don't have the outlook that we had. They can't afford a house. They can't afford to get married. There's no way they're going to be able to afford to have kids, you know?
Mhm.
And so I think they've given up. There's why am I going to go out there chasing for what? So that we can be homeless in some apartment, you know, like there's no future now. So this is
Yeah.
very this whole, and that's the saddest part about the whole lockdown.
Well,
And I knew
well,
this and what's
some of
happening, that this is what's happening. The young
yeah.
people have nothing to look forward to now. I look at
I mean,
all my kids' friends, they're in their 30s now, still living at home.
well,
My nieces and whatever, they can't afford to move out. My brother doesn't know what to do. They can't afford to move out. They
well,
can't
think about it. The houses are so expensive now that
Yeah.
you were going to buy a house for 300,000, and the bank looks at you and says, "You got your 10% down." Well, 10% of 300,000 is a lot of money to
No,
save up when you're
yeah, no,
already paying. You're already
it's not
paying
doable.
thousands of dollars a month to live.
Yeah. See, back in the day, and when I say back in the day, we're not even talking a very long time ago, maybe 100 years ago, not even 100 years ago, 80 years ago, a guy, would go and become a plumber or electrician or whatever he was doing. He probably learned it from his dad or whatever. And he could be out there all proud, and take on a wife and knowing that, hey, his salary is going to pay for that whole family, that it had the pride about being able to take care of a family. A guy doesn't have that now.
Yeah.
A young
No.
guy nowadays has, and I look at my youngest son, he's according to, jobs and how much people make, he makes good money. He should be able to afford to have the wife at home, and
Yep.
all of this but because of the economy and everything and the way it's gone now, he can't, but it wasn't that long ago since, like, you know what I mean? Like, he's in the, the best union you can get into. So, even him, they don't know where they're going to go when they have to renew the mortgage now. They don't know if they're going to have to downsize into an apartment or a townhouse or, you know what I mean? Even though he's making all this money, you know what I mean? You still can't make it. So, and other people who just got regular jobs, forget about it. There's no hope. And I hate to say
But
it,
if you get a job and you're making $15 or $20 an hour,
well, you can't
you
make
are not unless you get a 50-year mortgage, so you bring down the price of your payments so much. I mean, really, eventually it's going to get to the point where houses are so expensive, you're going to sign a contract that you'll pay for it until you die, and then your children will take over afterwards, because that's the only way you're going to do it.
And that's the thing. The sad thing is that, even though you bought your house, it doesn't mean you own it. You still got to pay tax on it. And I see elderly people here, people who back in the day actually were able to buy a house. They paid it off, right? Thinking that, hey, it's paid off. We should be able to retire and live good. No, now they can't afford to stay there because of the property tax. And that's the thing. And our pensions are not going up, and the salaries obviously aren't going up to the rate of the inflation. It's impossible, so nobody's able to make it right now. And so it's a very uncertain time,
Well, here's the thing. People are just hanging on by a small thread right now. If there was a wrench thrown into the economy that, made us go into a deep depression, 90% of the people would be living on the streets because none of them could afford to pay the rent or their mortgages. I mean, literally.
Well, I know. And so,
people are paying thousands of dollars a month just to rent the house. And if you lost your job for until your unemployment ran out or something, you couldn't make
it on insurance employment nowadays. No way. You only get 60%. There's no way. Like, you cannot take a day off. Like, it's horrible to live like that, and like Trump is, joking around about all his tariffs and everything. Do you realize what that's going to do to the Canadian economy? Like, you're talking about a wrench. That's a wrench. That's another wrench that's going to get thrown now into the Canadian economy, and Trump's joking around with Trudeau saying, oh, well, we're just going to make Canada the 51 state now then, and you can be our mayor over there or whatever. Like, he was joking around about. I posted that up on Gilded today. I was just reminded of that whole thing again.
If that was the case, that would probably be the best thing for you. because
Well, I
that
don't
would
know.
bring
That's
back
debatable,
a
right? That's
lot of
debatable.
your laws and regulations. You'd be way more freer over there than you are now.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, that's completely up for debate. I don't know. I right now I'm a little unsure of what's going to be happening over there in your country. It remains to be seen. You know, another wrench will be the war. You know, all of a sudden our boys are going to get drafted, and you know that's a huge wrench right there. You know, that's the thing.
Yep.
Like it's so uncertain right now. You
Mhm.
know, and we're just sitting here on eggshells waiting for the other shoe to drop, essentially, right? And again, that's not a way for young, especially the young people, to live, to have to
Yeah.
live, right? They have no
Yeah.
future, they have no hope, right, for the future.
Yeah.
And
Well, if you
so
can't have a house, you're
yeah,
not going to want to have kids. And if you
right.
don't have kids,
End
you're
of
just,
families as we know it. It's end of civilization as we know it. We're just going
yeah,
to become, and what they have become, sit at home in front of the computer. You got your virtual girlfriend, you know,
yeah,
you got your virtual whatever video games, and I don't say I blame them. You know, immerse yourself in that, lose yourself into a game rather than be awake and, you know, to see what's going on here, you know. So I really do feel for the young, especially, you know, at least
hmm,
we had you know, we had some sort of hope and normalcy, you know,
yeah,
that yeah, we're gonna get married and we're gonna have a house and we're, you know, this is how it's gonna be. And you know, I'm collecting my china pattern and my crystal, and
hmm,
you know what I mean? Like, but now that's all gone. Everything is gone. Everything that we knew, that we, you know, um thought was
yeah,
going to be there forever, it's gone. It's all been pulled away. So,
all the way.
but the good part though is I'm hoping that it's going to be a major, well, there's going to be a major correction, and I'm hoping that whoever survives it all, right, are
Hmm.
going to prosper in the
Yeah,
new future. I mean, you know, hopefully it's going to be better, right?
yep,
So, because I mean, a lot of this automated, and a lot of there's pros and cons to it. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people losing their jobs coming up. So there's, you know what I mean? And so again, uncertainty, right? A
yeah.
lot of people know that, geez, you know, my profession is going to be gone soon, you know, and but then you know, it could be a world that's going to be a lot more easier. You know, we're not going to have to do all these menial kind of jobs. We're talking off air about, you know, people not having time to cook and do all that. You know, that's another thing. We just outsourced everything.
Yeah,
You
we
know,
do.
so maybe having that robot at home might not be such a bad idea. That rather than going to McDonald's, have this robot that can make you delicious meals at home. That
Yeah,
could, you know, who can go into the cupboard and see what you need. Here's the recipe, order the stuff, that you don't have to worry about any of that. You come home to like a beautifully, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. I wouldn't mind having a robot like that. You know what I mean? That could probably cook a lot better than I can, and clean my house and make sure everything is done. And, you know, so when I'm getting old and forgetful, well, this thing is going to remember it for me, isn't it? Give me my meds on time. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of positive things that can come from this. But of course, there is room, a lot of room. And unfortunately, humans tend to turn it around and be used against us, you know?
hmm,
So, but
yeah. And oh, I know. I mean, there's good thing. I think was it Steve Bow or Chris said something about it earlier about you know, the internet has given us so many good things and knowledge and stuff like that. But it works both ways. The
yeah.
internet does allow us to get lots of knowledge, but it also controls that knowledge, and it also allows them, as you look in, they
Mhm,
look out. You know,
mhm.
it allows them to spy on you with cameras from
So we
far
had,
away. It
yeah,
allows
we
them to
had a,
control things from far away. Like, remember a few years back, they were controlling people's thermostats in their houses. Oh, your house is too hot. You know, we need to conserve power, so we turned everybody's thermostat down.
well, that's what's going to happen. That's the thing. That's already
Yeah,
happened with the smart meter, everything. That's why they changed the
yeah,
hydrometer to smart meter, everything.
yeah.
So they know exactly
You know,
when you're using it, what you're using it
yeah.
for, all of
So,
that. But
so
anyways,
like,
we had a very small window actually, and we were part of it, our generation here, of where we got the internet and we had access to everything. Since then, though, and I've seen it, they have scrubbed out that internet. You can go and Google things that you Googled 10 years ago. You're not going to find it.
Yep.
So yes, we have internet today, but we do not have access to all that information anymore. It's gone.
Well, that's what I was saying is it's great because you can find the knowledge, but then they control the knowledge that you
Now they
find.
do.
And and then like I said, it's great in a lot of ways, but it also is allowing others the advantage of taking advantage of you. Like your money. Your money all goes through a credit card, which goes through the internet to your bank, and the bank transfers all that stuff back and forth.
Yeah.
But if the internet, but then once it goes through the internet, everybody who wants to know what you're doing knows what you're doing.
Well, that's the problem. They take away the cash, we lose all our privacy. And that's why I've gone back to cash now. I've gone out of my way to only use cash, and just, you gotta, walk the walk too, not just talk the talk. And so I have. I did last year. I changed everything over, got rid of credit cards, all of that kind of stuff, just going back to the cash. But anyways, where was I going with that now? Geez, I'm losing my train of thought already.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gone.
So,
I guess
anyway.
we kind of gave that freedom up with the rewards points, and again, used for good. Yeah, they get to kind of, see what you're buying and all this, so that at least, the deals that show up are the things that you actually buy and not just some, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or,
but you're right. Like, Black Friday used to be everybody pushes and shoves at a store, and now they sit on their computers and hit buttons, and you don't have to. Or, you got Cyber Mondays, and the deals go on, and you can get some good deals because you can shop at 50 different stores pretty much at the same time to get the good deal. But like you said, in other sense,
deals anymore now. So what they do, and this is what retail does, they just put the price up and then put a sale price on. So you think you're getting a deal. And this is what I've been talking about my merch store. It's like, I don't have a discount because I've already lowered the prices to as low as they can go. You're not going to find any clothes cheaper than in my merch store, not to toot my own horn, but, so that's what they've done there. And back in the day, you used to be able to go to the store and they'll have door crashers. And that's why people were literally like, because they would have some like really good deals, right in the front there, door crashers. That's where that word comes from, because we literally would crash down the door to get them. And I remember getting some really good deals, but you had to be there early. You had to stand in line, and it was a whole big deal. But you can get some really, really good deals. Nowadays, like I said, no, all they've done is just yanked up the price and then tell you that you're getting a Black Friday special, which you're not.
Which I went to Black Friday once. They had like 2 items on the shelf that were the ones that were on sale, which made me mad because you walk in and it's like, this thing is like, 1/3 the price, and you run in there to get the big jack, and you find out that there's like one on the shelf, and the guy in front of you got it already. And I'm thinking, but that's all they had, one.
Yeah. So the way to do it is, and this is how I do it, is that after Christmas, when everything goes on sale, they're blowing it out the door for a fraction of the price. That's when I buy it. So my closet's full of shit that I bought last year after Christmas, that now the kids are going to get, clothes, like all the Christmas PJs and all the nice winter, fancy sweaters and all the shit. I got that for a fraction of the price after Christmas last year. And that's what they're getting this year, you see. So that's, so that's the smart way of doing it, is save up a little bit of money so that you have it for after, when everything is over, and get the sales when you can, but that's the beauty about growing up poor. You see, I know these little tricks to get by, which a lot of the kids don't, because they'd rather just go on Amazon. They don't want to go out there after Christmas. No. So anyways, I don't know how this show turned into shopping channel now all of a sudden, but hey, Max is in there. You guys get out of the whole card. Why are we paying the banks money to spend our own money? Like, I'm not doing it no more. They're getting $3 a month from me now for their little bank account, and I just take it all out. Not a cent in there for them to use, and I'm not giving them any money. No. So, and I know in the store everybody's shocked every time I hand them cash, but hey, whatever, we're going back to cash. You got to do it.
Cash is good. Cash is
It won't be
good.
long and it's going to be gone because I see when we did the decoder there. I should give everybody the link for that one. You guys, if you guys are interested in, let's see if I can find it now. We did a decoder of the Economist front page. I know I've seen a lot of people are doing that. It's like the big thing right now. Anyway, so we went through it kind of quickly, but we did go through it. I might do another whole video on that, just because you only had 30 views on that, and I think people need to see it. You know, and I think people will be interested. But go and
Well,
check that out.
I think that's pretty
Yeah.
good if I got 30 views. And
Well, not bad. You only got 48 subscribers. You know,
that's what I mean. That's pretty good. Pretty good average. If I only got 48.
Well, I got you at least 5 subscribers since this show, because I didn't go live, and I made sure that everybody went over there. You see, to subscribe to your channel instead of watching it here. But yeah, because I gotta be careful. We gotta be careful with some of the stuff we talked about. However, in that video, we didn't really say anything that I should have almost just gone live here, to be honest, because we didn't really. I didn't say any words. I was able to kind of talk around it a bit. So yeah, go and watch it, share it out, you know, and yeah.
Yeah, and we'll do another one soon. Who knows? Maybe we'll do one Thursday again. You know, I got off on Thursday. Maybe we should do that.
All right. Okay.
Sounds like fun, because right now news is good. There's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, heck, I'm sure you could spend half an hour talking about the gun reform that Trudeau wants to do.
Well, what's there to talk about? You know, we knew this was coming. It was just a matter of time, and here it is. You know, there's nothing we can do. You know, same with Biden. Don't think that he's not writing out all kinds of bills. He just pardoned his son, right? What do you think he's doing that you guys aren't aware of? All kinds of bills right in the last, few weeks. And that's the same with Trudeau. He's on his last legs now, of staying in power. And he's done his job. That was it for him. He can get the pension and retire for life now, I'm sure, after this. And so they're going to do as much damage as they can on their way out. And so, yeah, don't be laughing at us too hard, because, you guys might be next. So we'll have to see if they're going to have any more, flags.
Yeah.
Flag shows going on. And I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, we still got the alien card to go through. We still got World War III cards to go through. Oh, and don't forget, another virus. That's coming around real quick too.
They said that's coming. It's coming.
Lots to look forward to, people.
Yeah. It's going to be 2025 is going to be an interesting year. We're going to have to, before the end of the year, we're going to have another show and just talk about predictions. So there you go.
Or a year in review. I was thinking about that too. Because next week we actually got Augie Nost on. So we're going to take a little bit of a break here from the Anunnaki, actually. So, but you guys can read ahead, if you want to. And if you're new, you got 4 other episodes to catch up on. But yeah, we're going to talk about time travel next week. And then after that, I guess it's Christmas time. We should do some kind of Christmas show, maybe a little bit more lighthearted. Maybe even do, year in review. It's either that or the weekend after. It's the 29th, so it'll be New Year's show, so we can think about that. Yeah, like we got to go through the year and, just, I don't know, something a little bit lighter maybe.
Do I get to dress up like Santa?
Yeah, you want to dress up? Go ahead. Yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah, why don't we do that? We'll do a Christmas show on the 22nd.
Yeah,
so we'll take a bit of a break from the Anunnaki, I guess, and we'll return in the new year with the Anunnaki. And then, so stay tuned, make sure you're subscribed, hit the bell for all notifications. Hopefully you'll get notified, check out Robert's channels. I've got 3 of them down below. It's that the last one is the one that we kind of go live on all the time. So, I mean, just click on that video the link I just put in there. And
go over there and subscribe.
Yeah, and check out, because we have done some shows in the past on there as well that you may not have seen. And also, we've done other shows that are only up on my Rumble. So if you're interested, and I talked about Trump, there's a lot of stuff in there that we talked about that I can't really keep up on YouTube. So that will be up on the Rumble, as well as Odysee. Odysee actually has all my old and new shows. So that's pretty much a one-stop shop there on Odysee. So links are down below, guys. Go and check them out. And yeah, thank you all for watching. Make sure you smash that like button before you head out. Yeah.
Yep.
Roberts, what do you got coming up?
Catch me on Tuesday night, Native American Myths and Legends. Best show in town.
That will be on the Milky Way. So go and subscribe to this channel if you haven't. And yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.